Hello everybody, welcome to Country Girl. My name's Kathy, and today I'm going to talk about when to start your seeds. Hopefully by now you have your seeds ordered and you have them in your hands and ready to start planting them out. But you're wondering how many do I need to plan out? How do I plan them out? When do I plan them out? So that's what we're going to talk about. First of all, what you need to do is make a list of all the seeds that you plan on planting in your garden this year. And then you need to make a basic little sketch of your garden and decide where you're going to put the plants at. This will help you to realize how many plants you are going to need. Because if you're going to plant one bed of okra and your bed's only 4 by 6, you can only plant 24 plants in there. So there's no reason to fill a whole tray of 72 plants if you're only going to need 24. So what I would do is I would do the 24 plus another 6 or 12, just because of the germination rate and the chances of plants dying off. And you can always plant more later for succession. So like you plant your 24 and 18 of them come up, you can plant the other number of plants that you need to fill it out and then put those in the ground about 2 or 3 weeks later, and that will do a succession so you'll have more plants coming on throughout the year. So you don't want to plant more seeds than what you need. So this will help you decide how many seeds you really need to plant. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to find out when your frost-free date is. And that changes from year to year, seems like. Because in the past, my spring frost date has always been May 15th. Well, I looked it up this year and they're saying it's April 23rd. So they've changed that. So I am going to kind of shoot in between. I'm going to try to have my plants ready, but if the weather's not ready, I'm going to have them so that they can still be the right size to transplant come May 15th. So what you do next is go back to that original list that you had of what you were going to plant, and you go through your seed packets, and on the back it'll tell you when it's the ideal time to plant this particular seed. Like my peppers, it says start pepper seeds indoors 8 weeks before transplanting. So what I'm going to do on my paper here, on my master sheet, I find peppers and I write out to the side 8 weeks. That tells me I need to plant these inside 8 weeks before they can go outside. Now I also look and see if they're cold hardy, if they're a cold tolerant plant, or if they're a warm plant. If they're a cold plant, I might use some winter sowing. But if they're a tender plant like this pepper, they have to be kept inside. So if you do the winter sowing, you can use that on anything that says to plant early or plant as far as 6 weeks before frost date that they can go into the ground. Those can be planted outside almost any time in the winter. After December 21st, you can start putting them into the ground as long as you put a protective covering over them. Like you can make a mini hoop house if you have a small bed. Go ahead and plant the seeds, put a mini hoop house on them. It's just a little hoops, and put some plastic over them to keep them from the weather, and make sure that the soil is wet. You may have to water them occasionally, but that's one form of winter sowing. Another type is you can actually use the milk jugs and cut them up and put the soil in it, put the plant seeds in it, tape the jug back up, and put it outside in the weather so that it gets the rain, the weather, the snow, and everything. And then come probably about April, March, you need to start looking at and see if they've sprouted, because if they sprouted, then you need to open them up during the day and close them during the night. Or you can also, if you have a greenhouse, you can sow them directly into the greenhouse beds right now with very little protection. They don't even need any protection at all until they start to sprout, and then when they start sprouting, then you may have to regulate your greenhouse temperature by either putting a frost blanket over them or opening and venting the greenhouse if it gets too hot. Or you can just wait and follow the package label. So what I do after I have my list of when these are supposed to be put in, I go to a calendar, which is just my calendar just for the garden. It's not used anywhere else. It's next to my box of seeds. I'll go on this calendar and I will find my April the 23rd, which is saying now is my new frost date. And I'll write on here, frost-free date. And then I go back 1 week at a time and write 1, 2, 3, continuing on until I get to the different weeks. And then I come back to my sheet here, and like peppers, I start peppers 8 weeks before the frost-free date. So I can go back here and find that I need to start my peppers in February, last of February, February 28th is when I need to start thinking about putting those in. Somewhere in that area. You can go the week before or the week after and be fairly safe. I also double check this with my phone, which I have a moon calendar, and I double check that to see when's the best time to plant the peppers, which are a seed type crop. And I would be doing that. February the 27th is a good day for peppers and tomatoes to plant. So I'll put on here that I went to plant some peppers and tomatoes on the 27th of February. And I do that. I'm also putting on here that I want to plant some on February the 7th. I'm doing 2 weeks in between. One's 2 weeks earlier in case we get the early spring, and the other one's because those 2-3 weeks are not going to be that much difference on the plant. It's still going to be, it might be a little bit bigger, but it's still going to be able to be transplanted out into the garden. And that way, if those fail, I have a backup plan. And I do that with every one of these plants, crops, seeds that I want to plant. I'll go in here and write, like Brussels sprouts is 6 to 8 weeks. So I'll go back and do that on the 6 to 8 weeks. Put in my Brussels sprouts, double check it, find out when I'm supposed to be doing the best time in the moon to plant them. And I'll mark on this calendar when I want to plant them. That way I can just come and I can check, oh, this week I don't have to plant anything. Or, oh, next week I have to plant some herbs and my first round of tomatoes and peppers. And I want to plant some flowers. So I know basically just by looking at my calendar when I want to plant things. And then I can come back on here in my ink pen, and like January 1st, I planted some leeks and I planted onions. So I'm going to write that in an ink saying that I planted those. That way I also can keep track of where I planted and when I planted. I will write like leeks for American flag. Write that on there too. That way you know which ones you planted, and you know you can go back and say, oh, I can harvest these on such and such a day. And that will help you keep track of your seeds, when to harvest, when to plant, and how much to plant. So I hope you learned something. It's a quick little video. Hope you learned something. Subscribe to the channel if you would. It doesn't cost anything. Hit the like button. That helps me to help tell YouTube that you're interested in what I've got to say. hit the bell icon. That way you'll know when I'm on next. And share it with your friends. That really, really helps. And remember, dream big. Follow that dream. And I'll see you in the next video. God bless. Bye.